Hi, you're very welcome to this session on Excel Snacks, the first of my May series, 20 minutes of Excel goodness. What I'm going to do is the usual thing. I'm going to give you an introduction to my Coola Boola iffy functions, if you like. If you have any questions, you can pop them into the chat and I will pause at a couple of intervals just to check in with you. This session is being recorded, so if you have any deep, dark secrets, now's the time not to be revealing them. Just saying that right now, okay? First of all, great stuff. So let me just kind of kick off the session now with my... Here we go. All right, so this session is called the Meet the Iffy Function, Get Your Coola Boola On, okay? And I'm going to murder a few references as we go along the road. First of all, Boola, all right, and I'm stretching it here, refers to a mathematician called George Boole, who was English, but he actually lived in Cork, and there's a statue to him down in Cork at the moment. He is the gentleman who basically came up with the idea of what's called Boolean logic, which basically there's a question and the answer is yes, the answer is no, okay, on which modern computing is built. The other part of this equation is based on a gentleman called Fran in an Irish series called Love Hate, all right, and his favorite expression was Coola Boola, all right, if they're murdered a Dublin accent, which basically means excellent, right? Okay, so a little bit about me. Some of you have been here before, you know the drill. Some of you haven't. Here is who I am, right? My name is Anne Walsh. I live in the west of Ireland. I have a website called The Excel Expert because I do really like Excel, all right? I've been a freelance trainer since the mid-90s. As I like to point out, that is the 1990s, not the 1890s, all right? I have written a couple of books on Excel. Your Excel Survival Kit, Your Guide to Surviving and Thriving in Excel World. The second edition is out now, and you'll know it by its green cover. First edition was called Red. I also have written a couple of books for BookBoon, Create Great Reports in Excel, Get and Transform Data, about Power Query, which I'll be covering in a later section, Create Great Reports in Word, and my latest opus, How to Track Your Training Records in Excel, which is not going to be optioned by Hollywood anytime in the near future. Let's face it, right? I love movies, puns, crime fiction, married over 27 years, and I have one son who is a software engineer, who is my co-host here and kind of, you know, keeping things on track. And I wonder where that comes from. You know, blame the mother side of the family for that one. All right. So what we want to look at here is we're just going to look at what you're going to learn in this session. All right. Okay. What is an if function? All right. Oops. Let me go back up again. If I press the right button, that would help. Why would you do it? Okay. And how do you do it? Those are the three things I kind of want to focus on in this session. Okay. First of all, and just some other stuff as well. Yes, this session will be recorded because I fortunately remembered to hit the record button, and it'll be sent out afterwards with the file. It'll probably be in the next 2 days, to be realistic about it. Right. This is the first in the current series. Right. I'll talk a little bit more about the other ones that I've in my upcoming series, all right, on Excel Snacks, okay? And you can also ask questions in the chat, okay? So let's get into the whole, you know, meat and two veg, etc. The structure of an if function, okay? So when you upload what they call an if function here or open it up in Excel, this is what you see, this riveting dialog box. So let's see what it all means. The first bit is the logical test. That's basically where you're asking a question. Okay. The second part of it is value if true. So basically you say, if the answer to that question is yes, what do I do? And then the second part of it is value if false. What do I do if the answer is no? That is the fundamental structure of your if function. Okay, you can do it, build all kinds of other things with it, but that is the fundamental structure. Question, right? What do I do? And then what do I do if the answer is yes? What do I do if the answer is no? That is the fundamental structure of it. What is it used for? Okay, common uses, pass an exam, yes, no. Has something met a standard? Yes, no. Do we have enough items in stock? Yes, no. Right? Are the certain conditions met? Okay, you know, so for example, even with the vaccine, if you're doing the rollout, is your age X? If it's so, you can enroll for the vaccine. That's some kind of an example of a classic if function. Okay, also, are you entitled to something? So for example, maybe something like social welfare, do you have a certain number of PRSI payments? Are you over a certain age, etc., etc. So just the number of entitlements, those are the kind of things, common things that it's used for. Okay. So where we're going to do it, and this is the way I tend to teach it, is that we're going to allow Excel to create a scaffolding for you, which is going to come under insert formulas and if functions, right? And Q, picture of scaffolding, just to help you with that. Now, what we're going to do next at this point, I'm just going to stop the share for a second, okay? If any of you have any questions, just pop them quickly into the chat. All right, I'm not going to get people to come off mute because I just want to kind of keep things running as smoothly as possible. If anybody has any questions in the chat, just pop them in the chat. Or you're all kind of thinking, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen, and you just need some time to compose yourself. I understand that too. All right, so any questions so far from Laura? No? Ask, else smile, okay. Thank you. All right, lovely, great stuff. All right, so let's go on to the next bit. Let's see what it looks like in practice. Okay, so this file I have here, okay. So the question I have here, and let me just move that for a second. Here we go, lovely. All right, so in this question, we have bands of the 80s. All right, for those of you who are looking at these and saying, those bands, I haven't heard of them, that's okay. They're all very fine bands indeed. First one, prefab sprout, one of my favorites. So we're down to the question again. So these bands are graded love them if they get a score of 50 or over, and they're graded hate them if they get a score below 50. Use the if function to grade them. So the way the function works is that you take the first one, okay, go up here to formulas, look up in reference. Sorry, wrong thing, it's snack. Logical and if. Now, just, you know, fun fact, as they say, apparently you can, even though it says there, you can nest 7 functions inside each other. Apparently in reality, that's more like 64. I want to point out at this point that if you are nesting 64 functions inside each other, all your orifices will be bleeding. Just want to point that out now. So first of all, logical test is you take this one. Is that score, is what is in that cell greater than or equal to, what, let's say 50. Now put the 50 down here. And because I want to use it over and over again, I go back to my trusty friend F4, function F4 to lock it. Okay, that's my question. If that's true, I want to see the phrase love them. Click that here, F4, that's where we go. If the answer to that is no, I don't love them, I then hate them, and then I go F4. And I'm locking those because I want to use the same, I want to lock it to the reference to those 3 cells on it. And then I click OK, and then I double click on it on that one. Right? And you see there straight away, it does all the answers for me. So where the condition has been met, in other words, that score is 85, love them. So if I take craft work, right, where the session has not been met, I say hate them. And if I take soft cell, hate them as well. And some of you might know that there's kind of an ad for Heineken at the moment that references some of soft cell's music. Okay? Fun fact, as they say. I'm now going to give you kind of a second example of this, okay, which I'm going to do what I call the okay, not okay. And we'll throw in a dash of a formula as well. So go to this one. I need to find the difference between the 2 dates. So just go equals ship date minus order date. Now, just to say that's the number of actual days between the 2 dates. If you want to find the number of working days, there is a function called, which I'll put down here, called network days, which would actually calculate the number of working days between 2 dates. But you also need to have a list of the bank holidays or public holidays as well. So double click on the corner to copy it down. There we go. And then I'm over here to this one. So in the question here, it says in the OK column, construct a function that says OK if the difference column is 7 or less. Otherwise, it's say not OK. So my question is, and at this point, I always want to channel my inner Clint Eastwood and say, are you feeling lucky, punk? But I won't, or I did. And I just click, is that cell there, basically, is it less than or equal to 7? Okay. And now if you're trying to construct an if function, it's always a good idea, almost like to write a narrative of it, even just write it out or try and explain to somebody else what you're trying to do, because that can really help clarify your thinking. And it's a good point to just say, okay, what exactly am I trying to ask here? And because the clearer you are about your question, the easier this part will be. Okay. So I go up here to my formulas, go to my logical, go to if. And I want to say, is that there? Less than or equal to 7. Okay, I use my F4 again to lock it. If that's true, it's going to be okay. F4, false, not okay, F4. All right. Now, I could also have done it by just typing in, like, let's say, okay. Do you know what I mean? I could have also just typed in okay, and you'd have found that kind of Excel puts quotation marks on it. If it's odd, if it's only one letter, it won't put quotation marks on it, which is kind of strange. But if it's 2 or more, it will put quotation marks on it. Okay, but we'll go back to this one. Let's go back here to okay. And just don't forget to press the F4 to lock it. If your F4 key doesn't work, you may need to press what they call the function key, which is FN. And depending on your keyboard, that could be easy to find or hard to find. All right, and just need to press the 2 of them together. And then click OK. And then double click on the corner to copy it down. Right. And just to loop back to something we did earlier, you could also go to Home, Conditional Formatting, to a previous episode, as it were. Highlight cells rules equal to, and if it's OK, I'm going to leave it on the green fill. Okay, and if it's not OK, Conditional Formatting, highlight cells rules equal to, not OK, click OK. Right. So that's also to add, as they say in the previous session, a nice color pop. Okay, I'm going to work through one more example. Okay, and then I'm just going to see if there's any questions. Okay, certification current. So this one here is, all right, if you've been in a class of mine, you know I have my favorite Hobbits' questions. Okay, so just to say as well, I got these from a website called Fake Name Generator. Okay, these are pretendee courses, but it's a very common scenario. Somebody did a course on that date, and what you want to find out is their certification current or not? So the question is, okay, is the date in that course, right, before the entry that I have up here in K1? Right? And when you're doing dates in Excel, it's basically before, because as far as Excel is concerned, the world began on the 1st of January 1900. Right? So, you know, sometimes you might see this with dates. And if you see that, that's basically the number of days since the 1st of January 1900. Fun fact, as they say. Okay. Certification current, formulas, logical, and if. So I want to say, if this date of course, all right, is before, so that's less than or equal to this one up here, F4, all right. If that's true, I'm going to say yes. And I'm just going to type it in this time, okay, just to mix it up a little bit. And no, and then I click OK. All right. You can see there, some of them are yes, some of them are no. They're on those dates. Now, so that kind of, the file will be sent on to you afterwards as well. So I'm just going to stop the share for a second. And I just want to see, has anybody got any questions on if functions? But that's kind of, like I said, a short, sweet gallop through it. If you do, just pop them into the chat. We'll have it. Otherwise, I'll assume that you're okay with them. Lovely. So no questions, Lauros, no?
No, seems like everyone's happy enough.
All right. So far, everybody's clear enough. That's fine. That's lovely. Okay. Great stuff then. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of, that's kind of like a summary, if you like, of your if functions. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes. Looks like we're even going to finish up early, which is brilliant. All right. What I'm going to do next is just talk a little bit about, let's say, go back now to my share screen again, but upcoming snacks, as it were. Okay, so we'd finished on the scaffolding that I'd just like to use. We've had our demo, which is there on it. Okay, so just a little bit more then on the next bit. So basically for the rest of May on Fridays from 12:40, okay, I'm planning to run a few more of these. All right, so the one that's going to be next week is called Rolling in the Worksheets. Okay, and those of you who know Adele, I'm just giving a nod to Adele there, rolling in the deep, sorry. Okay, right, so there will be no Adele appearance from Adele at this particular event, I have to say. Okay, but that's basically about worksheets, your tabs in Excel. Okay, that's going to be on that one. Cue picture of sheets. Okay, the next one is going to be on the 21st. It's about printing. Okay, as I like to point out, if I had €1 for every time somebody has done, you know, had to have scissors, glue, staples, etc. for that one, I would actually now be in a tax haven somewhere. That's 21st. And then the next one then, the final one for May, is going to be a peek into Power Query. One of my favorite topics. It is one of the great unknown things in Excel, where if you need to do any kind of data cleansing, so for example, every month a supplier sends you the same report, or a customer sends you the same report, it's in a PDF, and you have to go and, you know, remove all the rows, remove all the columns, take out all the unwanted totals before you can actually do anything with it in Excel. Power Query should be something that should go onto your radar. Okay, if there's any kind of data cleansing you have to do, that's kind of a really useful one to have. It's free, it's part of Excel, integral to Excel, and it's just really, really handy. All right. Now, those are the next upcoming ones. All the details will be in the email that I send out to you afterwards, with the recording and with the file as well. Okay. Now I'm going to stop the share for a second. All right. And 4 minutes left. Has anybody got any questions or comments or anything we want to add to that before we wrap it up? Early. I always like early.
Hi, Anne. My name is Sean.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
Good. Thank you very much for delivering this. It's my first time on it and very informative. And certainly the Power Query one is the one that I struggle with. And like that, it's a report or series reports that we get every single month, and we have to clean up. And I was trying to record macros or whatever they're called, to do them, and I was always struggling. So I look forward to that in a couple of weeks.
Okay, so brilliant. So if there was and if you were happy to kind of, you know, do a kind of you know, if you have something in mind that you want to send me, feel free to do so. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy to kind of do kind of a, you know, I'm all about judge duty, real cases, real people. So if there's something you were happy to share, that would be happy to do that as a demo. I obviously have lots of stuff I can do, but no problem. Happy to do so. Great stuff. Any other questions from anyone? Okay. Okie dokie. All right. If that is the case, then 3 minutes early, you have time to run and get yourself a nice cup of coffee or dinner, etc. And I'm going to stop the recording. And I just want to say thank you very much. And hopefully some of you will come along for the next other sessions. All right. Glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, George. You're very welcome. All right. Glad. It's very enjoyable. Yeah, I love doing these. All right. And if functional, I'm happy. Okay, great stuff. All right, just stop.